Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final and concluding game in the Grubby Gladiator of the Week series. Here we do have our champion and gladiator Grubby as the green Protoss on the 6 o'clock starting position of Metalopolis. His opponent is Millennium player Tarson from Poland as the blue Terran here at the 9 o'clock. And with me, as always, on Saturdays I have commentator Super Dude xHydrax. How are we doing, Roger?
Yeah, the super dude bit, I like it. It's fun. I can't get over it. But yeah, I'm doing good, and I'm quite but I'm quite excited to watch this matchup because it includes two very big monsters of the StarCraft 2 community here on the European side. I mean, Grubby is a legend back from the days of Warcraft 3. He transitioned and he feels like a bit of a work in progress. He's still evolving in the game, try to get to the next level, and soon enough I'm pretty sure you're gonna start seeing some really good wins coming out of Grubby. And he's gonna be facing, like you said, against the Polish Terran player Tarson that has been playing in StarCraft 2 for ages now. He's a very well-known member of the community, solid Terran player, and probably a big contender here for Grubby. If Grubby can pull a win here, might be a sign that he's just evolving to the next level, and well, Tarson probably needs to take some lessons out of that. We'll see.
Definitely, but we have been seeing Tarson pull off some very aggressive and methodical builds. He is quite creative, and it's not just the run-of-the-mill Terran that does the standard push every time. But nor is Grubby. He is, if anything, unique and has a very strong strategic ability and inherent talent, if you will, being a 6-time world champion in Warcraft 3, now transitioning into StarCraft 2. And of course, it's no surprise that most good StarCraft 2 players are from the Brood War scene. Tarson is, by all means, an ex-Brood War player. But Grubby, he has shown that not having too much familiarity with Zerglings, for example, does not prohibit you from owning in StarCraft 2. And this week he has shown us precisely how good he is at strategy games in general, and StarCraft 2 in particular, more and more. And this will be a very epic game, I'm sure. Cybernetics core now going down for Grubby in a very standard fashion, whereas Tarson placing a supply depot here to give vision of this cloudy place here in the south of his base, and barracks with no add-on going up. What can we expect from Tarson in this game, do you think, Hydra?
Well, openings are just starting. They still have all their options open for now, but as you can see, we do have those close by air positions, the spawning positions, meaning that we might be seeing some kind of air aggression later on. Tarson might be considering that the moment that he spots his opponent and his SCV is gonna spot him. As you can see, he's already running inside his opponent's base, and meaning that he probably might be considering his options there. Some Medivac drops, some Banshee harass. They're all valid options on this positions here in Metalopolis. And while we do know that Grubby is also a very aggressive Protoss player, also a trademark from him coming from Warcraft 3 and having a brilliant micro capability, I'm not sure what he's going to be able to answer here to Tarson. I think that Tarson will be the first one to try to put some aggression and some pressure onto Grubby, and Grubby probably will have to defend. I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit more and see. For now, we do witness Tarson going for a 1-1-1 opening with the reactor getting attached to that Rax. I'm not sure if he's going to try any kind of switch here, but we might be seeing that coming out soon.
Well, meanwhile, Grubby going for a 1-gate robo, probably to get an observer out ASAP, since his scouting probe was killed immediately, whereas Tarson got full vision. But this is not just your standard 1-1-1 build, I'd say, because he has produced one Hellion out of the factory and then adding a tech lab onto it, whereas the reactor stands put on the barracks. Now we get to see what he does with the starport. Banshee harass most probably will be what we can expect, but now it seems like he's switching with the factory and the tech lab. And will Banshees or something else come out? Here's the Raven. Now this I like. This is unorthodox, if anything. And one little Hellion on top to make shenanigans happen. Raven opening from Tarson. And of course this will enable him to snipe the observer that will very soon emerge out of Grubby's robotics facility. It finishes just now. And that will give Tarson a superior scouting advantage throughout the game, and denying vision is half the battle in StarCraft 2. Now we see that Hellion doing a bit of burn action on this growing nexus, building nexus, and the observers just entered Tarson's base, and it should be quite surprised.
Yeah, apparently Tarson is basically countering any kind of scouting purposes that this observer might have. He's going for that really fast Raven. I always love Raven builds. It's kind of curious to see the effects here on this specific game, especially because facing Protoss, as you do know, the Ravens have the point difference around the PDD, and it's so effective against especially Stalker. When the Protoss player goes for a heavy Stalker play, they just get completely smashed and destroyed. A couple of point defense drones on the front of one big battle just tips everything in favor of the Terran player, and seems like that Tarson might just be preparing his counters. He did the switch, as you mentioned, to get some Banshees out, and we might be seeing some harass ensuing from Tarson, using and abusing that short rush distance by air, killing all the scouts that Grubby is making, the observers, and at the same time pushing on the front. He's coming down north with a big force advancing here.
Very beautiful indeed, and as you pointed out, he has already killed that first observer by Grubby, and Grubby sure did not expect that to happen. Now he's laying siege with Ravens, Marines, siege tank and a Banshee on top. This is a very deadly, very early and very uncommon timing attack here in the early stages of the game. This may very well take down this unprotected nexus of Grubby, who clearly did not expect anything like this to happen. Hydra, what can Grubby do to come back in this game?
I honestly don't know. We do see two different approaches to this game. On one side you have Tarson doing this one base play aggression, just trying to commit all of his resources to this big army that he brought down south and just destroyed the nexus from Grubby. And Grubby was investing on an economy play, just trying to expand, get a second base rolling, get a nice economy. But now Tarson will be on the lead because he's still on one base play with a bigger army, and I'm wondering if Tarson is going to consider making another push, or if now he knows that he destroyed and he hurt Grubby's economy, if he's just going to pull back and consider his options to maybe make another expansion. And seems like that's going to be the case, Sebastian.
Yes, he just has established a fresh expansion, not in his natural, but at the 11 o'clock expansion, which is unorthodox. It seems like he will prevent Grubby from finding out about that for as long as possible. And he is a very talented player, Tarson, because he had a strong advantage, and now even probing with some Banshees here in the back of Grubby's base, with 4 kills in between them, forcing Grubby to play defensive, and that is not the ideal position for Grubby. He prefers not to be defensive at all.
And seems like he's gonna go again. The Banshees are still trying to poke and prod at that mineral line, and finally some defenses from Grubby showing up and shooing them away. But they're a menace, a present menace now for Grubby, and Grubby needs to take care of that top north of his main base, because I'm pretty sure that Tarson might consider advancing there once more. For now, we do see him messing up his army, gathering his Banshees with what's available of his ground army and that Raven, and we might be seeing him going for some kind of strategical position here, or even another push. While we do witness Tarson expanding once more, curious enough, he started with this second base on where it's supposed to be his third expansion, and now he's grabbing his natural, and he's going to be playing out of 3 bases pretty soon. The funny thing is that I was thinking that Tarson might consider making another push to cover this expansion. Keep in mind that Grubby still has an observer working its way up north, and Grubby wasn't aware of that third base for quite a long time, meaning that Tarson was just benefiting from the economy, and the Grubby is struggling to get his second back up once more. He is attempting to get the Nexus rolling, and he needs some workers there.
Indeed, but at the same time, the Grubby has now discovered that 11 o'clock expansion of Tarson, and has built a proxy pylon, proximity pylon right here at the 1 o'clock main base, and now warping in 2 zealots. That will be able to poke some holes into this third expansion of Tarson, and that may be the kind of stuff that can make a Protoss king, former Orc master, come back into this game. And yes, Tarson forced to evacuate and even lifts up. Seems like he is not greedy whatsoever, and he wants to maintain his safe advantage. He's very steady and forthcoming in the way that he takes no risks now that he knows that he's ahead. He will just continue to extend that advantage. Banshees being out, putting that fear of the Banshee, as Day9 likes to call it, into Grubby. And having a look at the unit count, we see 1 Immortal, 2 Stalkers, sorry, that's 9 Stalkers and 2 Colossi and 2 Sentries. So yes, a very sentry-heavy Protoss army versus 1 Raven, 23 Marines, 4 Siege Tanks, 6 Vikings, 2 Banshees, and a couple of other things just thrown in for kicks. And as you said here, a Stalker-heavy army. That is what we are very used to seeing, but that point defense drone of the Raven will be able to counteract it so efficiently. We see the Twilight Council now being almost done, and Blink upgrade should follow shortly. So a very beautiful play by Tarson, I must say, Hydra.
Yeah, indeed, I agree. Tarson is playing well. He had a good decision making there. He knew that he couldn't defend that third base, so he basically lifted the orbital command and landed it in range for all the units that are defending his natural expo. He's still going to benefit from the energy and can drop mules on his mineral lines, and at the same time basically thwarted that proxy pylon move that Grubby was doing. But the question here is Grubby getting back into his game? Because with that move and forcing Tarson to pull back his command center back into the position close to his natural expo, he actually delayed the economy play by Tarson, and as you can see, the economy, there's still a bit of a gap there, also a sign that the mules are doing their work, obviously, but there's not that much of a difference between the worker count, meaning that Tarson just needs probably to get some nice units to get a proper defense close to his third base, advance there, land it, and just benefit from the income, while Grubby needs to consider his options. He still doesn't have much of an army. As you can see on the supply count, it's 133 against 111 at the moment, meaning that Tarson is still leading the way, and seems like that Grubby is falling a bit behind and he needs to shape up his macro.
Indeed, Grubby is... well, he's in a difficult position. I'm sure he has not encountered this build many times before, and Tarson continues to be impressive and sneaky, now going for the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade for his Hellions, so we will be seeing late-game blue-flamed Hellions. Now a Blink attack coming in from Grubby, trying to snipe Vikings and Ravens. This Raven is very much in danger, but he's dropping a point defense drone and landing a Viking just to save that Raven.
Brilliant move. Awesome move there.
Beautiful micro, beautiful decision making. So we have two very even players, even in the sense of strategic ability and sneakiness. I love seeing Tarson take on Grubby this way, because you can't play straight up. Grubby is too good for that, and when he gets into a late game position, he is so strong. But Grubby does not allow him to reach the point where he wants to be.
Well, we're going to have aggression again on this third base with more Stalkers showing up here. Keep in mind there's still no upgrades. Grubby is still finishing his weapons level 1, and we do see a nice thwart here by Tarson defending it well. Now he has enough units to just stretch his defense line all the way to pick up the 3 bases, so he can reach the 3 bases and defend against any kind of aggression incoming from Grubby. And at the same time, notice the fact that he's getting a Ghost Academy. So basically he's preparing all the counters that Terran can use against the Protoss player. He's going to have the EMP rounds from the Ghosts, he will have point defense drones to cut the shots from the Stalkers, and from what I can see, Grubby has plenty of Stalkers on his army, and also he has Vikings to counter any kind of Colossus play, which we might be seeing from Grubby coming out soon enough. Meanwhile, here on Grubby's side, he's massing up the gateways, getting a lot more, so he can just warp in a lot of units to reinforce his army, and we might be seeing a massive confrontation. But there's an interesting decision making here for both players. While we do see Tarson going for a heavy mech play, there's plenty of factories around, we do see that on Grubby's side he went for that Twilight Council, focusing getting the Psionic Storm, so apparently he's going to get some High Templars, and I don't think he's going to have that much bio to grind down. For now we do have 23 Marines, which is a bit, but he might be confronted with a lot of mech, and those Psi Storms won't be the best tool against them, I would say.
No, this is a bit of a blunder from Grubby, because if he read Tarson's unit composition correctly, he would understand that Psystorm would be pretty much negated by the well, mech forces of Tarson, and here we do see 2 Hellions being killed instantly by the Stalker army of Grubby, so no dice there. But as you say, yes, Templars, they might come into use when feedbacking that Raven, but Psystorm is pretty much well, if not useless, then severely hampered in their ability to cause damage to a mech army, and this is of course the genius of Tarson's build. If Grubby does not adjust properly, and that is difficult to do on the fly, the standard approach to playing versus a Terran player will not work. And now we see beautiful uses of Sensor Tower, because of course a Warp In with Warp Prism, Dark Templars or something like that is something that can put Grubby back into this game very quickly, but he is preventing that with Sensor Towers, and he's just extending that advantage very steadily and oh so efficiently. Another command center now going up, and High Templar production has commenced for Grubby, but we see no upgrades for Tarson. No armories exist on this map yet, which is peculiar. Now we see a Banshee poking some holes into this building Nexus at 3 o'clock, but it's now getting destroyed. Now 2 armories moving up as well. Do you say that Grubby is much behind, or just behind Grubby?
Well,
Hydra?
Grubby's taking this very seriously, because he's going for that 4th base, meaning that he will be ahead of Tarson if he gets a proper mineral line rolling there. But the problem is that Tarson is messing up a big mech army with a lot of siege tanks. He does have some bio forces there, but I don't think that Grubby has enough to withstand aggression, and here he comes.
Here it comes indeed. Psystorm falling onto the Vikings. They are of course pretty good at that, but the Vikings still stand. They're sniping Colossus, and yet the Colossi have to connect with the bulk of Tarson's army. Archons now being morphed, but the Marines and Marauders, backed up by siege tanks, are now up in Grubby's business, and the Vikings continue to shoot at those Colossi. The Stalkers are forced to blink in and save 1 from being annihilated, but that leaves him open for a Marine Marauder attack into the main. They will be able to shoot down Grubby's production facilities, and sure enough Psystorms are there to prevent it, but now the Stalkers have free reign over the siege tanks, but the Viking is there, and with a point of fence drone he could prevent the Stalkers from inflicting enough damage. We have 2 of them in the air, and it looks pretty bad for Grubby, wouldn't you say, Hydra?
Indeed, because you noticed the big mech force that was advancing from north on the back of that first wave of assault, and now we have a bunch of siege tanks making a nice solid line, blasting away at everything that attempts to reach them. And we do notice that on the minimap you keep seeing more and more blue dots coming from the north, so basically Tarson has been macroing on the back of his assault, grabbing his 4th on the top north as well, as you guys noticed, and leaving a big mech force here on the front of the access to the natural exfil from Grubby, and in range to the buildings on the top of the main base, meaning that at the moment Grubby is under siege, and Tarson is just benefiting from a nice strategical position here. Everything that Grubby tries to throw at his siege tank seems to be destroyed. He keeps sending zealots and more units, and he's actually slowly grounding down that mech line, that siege tank line that Tarson was placing there, but Tarson keeps sending more and more units, and apparently Grubby doesn't have what he takes, because if you look at the supply, he's falling behind once more. He needs to get a stronger economy than the Terran player, and that 4th base was a bit too late, I would say.
Indeed, he is now saturating his new base up at 3 o'clock, but Marauders are shooting on his natural expansion Nexus, and it all comes down to, as you were saying, Hydra, as Archons are now clashing into the tanks, it's about the reinforcement that Tarson is constantly sending to the siege line. It's not so much about him poking a hole in Grubby, it's the fact that he continues to have a presence outside Grubby's base, and now multitasking and sending Hellions with Blue Flame again to the probe line of Grubby's fresh expansion, completely annihilating whatever economy Grubby was having, which is a beautiful way of extending this advantage. Tarson shows that a slow and steady mech Terran can just fortify himself and never lose, and it comes down to the reinforcement skills, not being too greedy, and now more probes are being roasted here at the natural. Grubby needs to do something fast.
Indeed, and it feels a bit like it's Goody playing instead of Tarson, because Goody just loves his mech. Maybe. I was wondering if it just Tarson just lended his account to Goody and it's Goody playing, but it's paying off here. Also, the fact that Tarson had all of those nice tools against Protoss, the point defense drones, the ghosts, has been paying off so well. You could see that the point defense drones on the front line just help a lot the ground units, and then this massive mech force has just basically wreaking havoc onto Grubby's plans, and they're now knocking on the mains door from Grubby, meaning that Grubby soon enough is going to have like a long line of siege tanks splitting his bases from Tarson, and that's not going to be good. It's the first sign that Grubby is close to the end, and unless Grubby decides to muster up her army to just come here and break this line, he might be in deep trouble, in dire straits.
Well, the only way, and that may already be too late, to win this battle is by stopping the Terran from reinforcing the siege line, and that could be accomplished by going for a counterattack through forward pylon warpins or something like that. But that time may already have passed, because if he cannot force Tarson to reposition his troops at another place to defend against aggression, he will just continue to wear down Grubby's forces and infrastructure. When you got siege tanks sieged within range of your natural expansion nexus, then things are never good, and it seems like Grubby or Gladiator of the week may be down for the count. 64 supply versus 168 and going down. This is gruesome.
Yeah, and notice that Tarson is getting that position close to the natural expo from Grubby, destroyed his natural expo, and now he's in range for the third, and he's going to be able to climb freely that ramp up the main base to start destroying the production facilities as well. He is attempting on the top north to harass a bit with 3 stalkers, but I mean, it's not even close to what Tarson is providing here on this front line. He's basically destroying everything that moves on Grubby's bases, and unless Grubby is able to pull some trick out of his hat, which I doubt, based on what we can witness here, I think that this game might be close to ending for Grubby.
Indeed, it seems like the former Orc King and nowadays Protoss Prince, aspiring for the throne, have been defeated by a player that is so intelligent and so versatile. And here we see a GG from Grubby, but well played by both players. Tarson took that win very convincingly and very deservedly. He had figured out how to beat Grubby, and that is no mean feat, not in Warcraft 3 and not in Starcraft 2. And it was just a beautiful showcase of how Terran mech with interesting unit compositions such as late game blue flamed Hellions and Ravens can really turn the tide of battle.
Yeah, indeed. Basically, he didn't commit himself to much of a bio. After he lost that small group of bio forces on that first big push, he just went for more and more mech, and it paid off. I was just taking a look at the economy. If you noticed, at this point you had both players playing out of 4 bases, though Grubby lost his natural expo. But notice the difference on the harvester count: 86 for Tarson, 37 for Grubby. So his economy was really hurt, and Tarson went for the kill when he got those Hellions, those blue flame Hellions, roasting and making a massive pro barbecue on the Grubby's mineral lines. So well played for him.
Very well played, and he surely had everything figured out, knowing exactly what tools to use and in what precise way. And he even had fortified his fourth with not only a planetary fortress but also 2 siege tanks. Man, I think I'll make Tarson a future gladiator here at the GGvision Starcraft 2 Colosseum. But this
he played well.
Yeah, he did. And this is a good conclusion to the Grubby week here, and I hope you all enjoyed it, beloved viewers. And next week we'll have something very special for you, but now we need to finish, because me and Hydra are going to do some more casting, aren't we, sir?
Oh yeah, we got plenty to cover and a lot of VODs to provide for all of you viewers for next week, so you guys can just enjoy all of the major battles incoming. Just stay tuned.
Excellent. So GG for now, guys.
Adjutant online.